I'm Paul at Paul_Picken, and you're listening to the Dynasty Hot Seat.
Oh, yeah. Just a couple of dudes rocking out. Isn't that right, Paul?
Oh, mate. Do you know what? Normally it's the rewind and we're dancing away, but we were full on. You had your guitar out, I was drumming. We was just living the dream.
The dog was getting involved. It was great. Like, a lot of fun for everybody. How are you doing, mate? Good to see you.
I'm doing really good, mate. I'm doing really good. Do you know what? It's nice to chat a bit of fantasy, mate.
Isn't it?
It's nice to chat a bit of fantasy. I can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got Paul on. Paul's going to give us some hints and tips, and then we're going to dive into this 2023 rookie class and do a little mock draft with him. But, before we get in there, guys, some of you listening right now, you're not subscribed up for whatever reason. If that little rock out session at the start didn't do it for you, I know what will. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe button right away and that thumbs up and that like and all of that good stuff. And hey, if you've got a hint or a tip for Dynasty Fantasy Football, why don't you leave it in the comment below and let's see what it is and see if it's any good, right? But Paul's got some good ones for us. Paul, you got two to sort of kick us off. You said you might even throw in a third if you're feeling lucky, but we might get to that during the mock draft. We never know. So what do you got first for your first tip?
So we were chatting before we came on, and it's so difficult to come on you because the guests you've had on and the hints and tips, and it's so hard to come on you and not repeat what they're saying and sit here and go, and I was saying to you all about like putting things in tiers and stuff like that. But one thing that really stands out to me every time is get to know your league mates and get to know your league settings. Mm-hmm. I just think that is there's so many different super flex, 1 QB, tight end premium, no non-tight end premium, half PPR. It's this, and we all play in so many different leagues. There's so, you're like me, Mags. We've got probably 4 drafts going on at the moment. It's been absolutely mental this week. Yeah. It's every 5 minutes my sleeper's going off with another draft or trade, and it's just trying to know what they are. So the way I like to set my sleeper leagues out is I like to sort of put them together. So I've got like Dynasty best ball leagues. They're together, then super flex normal ones. Then I've got 1 QB or whatever, and try and get it all sort of together, and it's all a little bit easier on how I can manage them things and stuff like that. But I do think league settings is a mega thing. But get to know the people that you're playing with as well. Get to know what sort of people they are, and that'll lead us straight into the second tip. See, I'm so good at this. Which is like always be up for negotiating trades.
Yeah.
And you get to know your league mates. So you get to know who they like, who they dislike, and stuff like that. I'm probably a big like Kyler Murray fan, that's me being a homer. And people will know that, but I may be not so much of a fan of somebody else. So don't come at me trying to sell me that person. Mm-hmm. Come at me trying to sell me Kyler Murray or something like that. So it's getting to know people, get to know what their likes and dislikes are and stuff like that. And I know people have come on here before and sort of said, have a look at their Twitter, see what they're doing, see what they're talking about, who they like, who they dislike, and stuff like that. And I think that is quite good for it and stuff, But also, I do suggest that if somebody offers you a trade, try and negotiate with them. So I got offered a trade. I got offered a trade the other day, and it was a very fair trade. And it was great value. And I messaged a guy and said that's absolutely spot on value, but I'm not in the market for a wide receiver. I'm looking for a running back. And he just replied with, I don't think I can. I haven't got a running back that I can value to that pick. So it was like, so we had a discussion. We both agreed that we couldn't talk anymore about this trade. So we moved on, instead of, I know people do send absolute garbage trades out and stuff like that, but just message them back and just go, mate, the value there is just ridiculous. I'm not going to sell that at that price. If you want to make a real offer, come back at me with a real offer and we'll have a discussion about it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that negotiation always gets, and a lot of the time it might not get actually the trade you're talking about then done, but because you've opened up negotiations, it makes it easier for sort of future trades to get done down the line, because what they're going to realize then is you're up for negotiation and they might actually message you, be like, hey, I'm looking for a wide receiver. You got anything for me? Or hey, I'm looking for this. So remember that if you want to flip it on its head, even, not only should you get to know your lead mix, but like let them get to know you and let them get to know that you're open for negotiations and you're open for chatting, right?
Yeah, 100%. And like I said, mate, you know, people do send. I've had loads of them, absolute garbage trades.
You're in leagues with me. You probably had loads.
Yeah, but like, you know, the one that gets me is these people that try and send you 6 or 7 different absolute garbage players for one thing, and then try and sell these players to you, and you know, just acknowledge it and just go, look, I appreciate the offer. You know, if I was to sell you this guy, I'm happy to sell you this guy, but I want this, this, and this for him, you know. And then they may look back and go, do you know what? I'm not going to pay that, but I'll give you this, this, and this. And all of a sudden you get chatting then, and you know, you try and work out a trade. And it may be a case that you have to put a pin in it and come back to it in a couple of weeks because you come to no sort of agreement. But I've done that before. We're trying to sort out a trade for a 102 pick. He didn't like the value. I didn't like the value. We went away. We come back and we've made the trade. You know, we've both got to where we needed to be. So I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think that's super important. And speaking of sticking a pin in trades, we're actually going to stick a pin in the hints and tips, and we're gonna pull up our draft board because it's time to talk about some of these rookies, Paul. So we've got 12 teams here. You're going to make every single pick. Talk us through who you're going to take at what position and why. It is super flex. It is non-tight end premium. We talked about the rules. Super flex, no premium. Who's going at the 1-1 for you?
So I think the first 6 picks in any draft are the same 6 players. I'm yet to see a draft. The order changes, but it's always them 6 players. And the one is not going to change. Every single person has come on here and they've all said the same thing. So I'm not going to sit here and bang about how amazing Bijan Robinson is. So yeah, Bijan, it's easy.
Right. Have you seen any trades for the 1-1? I have not seen any. I've not seen a single person being able to trade up into that 1-1. People are asking for like mortgages. It's crazy the amount of people want for it. I haven't seen a single person get that done. Have you seen anyone get it done?
No, I haven't, but it takes go back 12 months ago. Okay. What was the price of Jonathan Taylor? You know what I mean? We were talking about this guy and people were going, oh, it's going to be 3 firsts or it's going to be 2 firsts plus and stuff like this. And it's just the value. And I think the people with the 101 are asking too much.
Yep.
So they've priced themselves out the market. And there are people that would pay a lot for the 101, but they go, no. I want your house, your mortgage. I want your car. I want your wife. I want your kids, your dog, your hamster, your cat, and everything. Like, you know, I want the lot just for Bijan. And people don't want to give up that. And people have learned. I think the Dynasty community has changed a little bit. And I think people are more. I don't want to give up so much or so many picks for somebody because they get to 12 or 2 years later and they've still not got picks. And Bijan's maybe injured or something, and it's had a bad year. And anything, you know, look at Jonathan Taylor. If you'd have paid 3 firsts for him last year, you'd be sat there now going, I haven't got a first round pick until 2026. Yeah. And that's because I wanted Jonathan Taylor. So, you know,
it's weird. Like, if you're going to pay up for Bijan, you better be sure you can win. You better be sure you can't. You can't be like, I'm 1 piece away. You have to already be able to win and then go trade for Bijan.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely. 100%. So he's consensus locked in at 1. Absolutely. So it is the same 6 people. Like, you're right. I've seen that a lot as well. But who is the second person off your board?
Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
And weirdly, as I was saying, we've done loads. There's been loads of drafts for him in the last couple of days. And I think 2 drafts I've walked away with Bijan and Anthony Richardson. So I don't know if that's me admitting that I did really bad in these dynasties last year, or the fact that I've just sold everything and just gone, I want these guys on. And the potential upside, if you've got both of them, is incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, there's huge like points. If both of these guys hit, I mean, that is a huge game changer, especially in Superflex. You've got, I mean, if Anthony Richardson, hits, he's not going to like hit in the same way that like Daniel Jones has been like a hit. He's going to be smash hit, number 1 player overall hit if he hits. Like, he's got real potential. There is a chance in 10 years' time, so many people are like, God damn it, I wish I took Anthony Richardson at 1, not Bijan Robinson. There's a chance that could be a possibility, right?
I was about to say, I'd rather, if I was trading up to get one of these guys, I'd rather trade up and get Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, because you can get that deal done.
Yeah, I feel like I could get that trade done and have, I do agree that Anthony Richardson has this massive ceiling, but I also think he has a really low floor. Like, he can be, I've heard, I know Murph came on our show and said that he's not a good QB and everything like this.
Yeah.
On the Rewind show, and he's not a QB. And I know, he has that Konami upside to him as a rusher and stuff like that. If he's used in the right way, great. But if he's used in the wrong way, he could be a flop. Like, I'm not sitting here. Twitter don't annihilate me for saying he's a flop. I'm not sitting here saying he's a flop. I'm saying he has the potential to flop. But yeah. I'd rather be holding him and him flop than not holding him and he hits the ceiling he could hit.
Yeah, exactly. Paul loves to hold floppies, right? Right, so let's move on. let's go to pick 1-3 away from Anthony Richardson. Who's following up after good old floppy, right?
Fucking hell. I'm gonna say CJ Stroud.
Right, CJ Stroud. We'll get him locked in. This is pretty much it. This is very, very common from what I've seen so far. We got
yeah. Like I said to you, the first 6 picks are very chalky. To be honest, mate, I could have sat here and reeled off the first 6 picks, and we could have gone straight to 7.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I think that would have been. I think most people would have gone, yeah, we know why they're going there. We know who's going there. We know everything about it. But I prefer CJ Stroud to Bryce Young as well.
Yeah, I just think there's more upside with CJ Stroud. That doesn't mean I don't like Bryce Young. I just think, yeah, there's more upside with Stroud. Is Bryce Young the guy that you're going to go with next at 1-4?
Yeah. In a super flex, it's easy. This is the part where I've seen different names. I've seen different players. I've seen Gibbs go at 4. I've seen, I've seen Bryce Young fall to 6. To be honest, and Gibbs and Jigba have gone before him. But to me, in a super flex draft, Bijan's that guy.
Yeah.
But to be fair, actually, one of the fantasy wildcard leagues, Anthony Richardson went at 1.
Really?
Because I believe he's in a massive rebuild, and Bijan's not somebody that's going to help him in a rebuild. I think it's a 14-man league as well, so
that changes it.
QBs are more valuable as well,
Yeah, absolutely.
But even in a 12-man league, your QBs, these are your 3 QBs, and they have to go the next picks. If any one of them fell to 5 or 6, I'd be straight in the DMs of the guy that's holding the 5 or 6 pick, and I'd be, what do you want for it? Let's get this deal done, because even if he falls to 6, I think the value of the 6th pick is just you could get it. You could get a lot for what it's worth there.
Yeah, absolutely right. And the other 2 guys are obviously Jahmyr Gibbs and Jackson Smith and Jigba. What order is it you have them in?
I have Gibbs before him, and that's just it. I would say it's the draft capital, but I just think that Gibbs is going to see a lot more over the next 2 years. I feel like Gibbs is going to see a lot more ball than what JSN is. I know at the Seahawks, he's not going to not see anything. He's not wide receiver 3 on that team. I think he is wide receiver, I'd say 1B, and DK's 1A. But DK is going to require targets where I don't think anyone at the Lions is going to take away from Gibbs. So I think on the to me personally, I think I'd take Gibbs over JSN. But if you're at the 5 and you've got a good running back room, then JSN's your guy. Yeah. If you're at the 5 and you've got a good wide receiver room, then Gibbs is your guy. It's to me, it's seeing what your team needs are there. I think Gibbs is the one that's going to be a better player over the next 2 years, and he's probably going to see more volume. But I just think it's more what your team needs than anything else.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I'm not going to argue with anyone who's going to take JSN at 5 and Gibbs at 6 or flip it around like this. I think you got to study your team and evaluate it. And if you've got a team that's already like locked and loaded at wide receiver, and you think Smith and Jigba's probably just going to sit in your bench most of the time, go for Gibbs and see him sort of deal out running back. If you think Gibbs is a guy, well, I'll put him in my taxi squad for a bit. Maybe it's like take the guy there when it's like so close. Just take the guy who's going to help your team more next year and next 2 years. So yeah, I think that's absolutely spot on. And then the real draft is now, isn't it, right, mate?
Yeah. Well, I was going to throw in there is if you did say you did a startup last year and we were all doing it and it was heavy wide receiver to start with. If you've got heavy wide receiver and then you've sort of faded running back, then you could be in this position at the 105 where you go, my wide receiver room is fire, but my running back room is trash. So Gibbs is going to go straight in as a week-to-week starter in the running back position. So he's a smash there for me.
Yeah.
but yeah, this is where it obviously starts getting quite interesting. And well, to be fair, we say interesting. People are going to go, oh, that's very chalky. But yeah, Jordan Addison at 107 for me.
Yeah.
Which again is quite chalky, but I think he's going to have a season like. Do you remember Juju at the Patriots when Antonio Brown was there?
The Steelers.
The Steelers. Not he's at the Patriots. When he was at the Steelers and Antonio Brown was there.
Yeah.
And he went off because Antonio Brown pulled away from Juju. So Juju was quite open quite a lot. And I think that's going to happen with Addison. Jefferson's going to require so much cover. And I know, he's always going to see the ball and he's going to demand it. But I think that's going to leave a lot of space for Addison. And I think, is it Ali? Ali's put him down as the offensive rookie of the year and said he's got the outside chance. And I'm inclined to agree with him. I probably wouldn't put money on it because you'd obviously going to see one of these QBs. If one of the QBs goes off, then it's going to be one of them very easily. But I think Jordan Addison, I think he could have that season like Juju had when he played alongside Antonio Brown and could set the world alight, mate. And he could be somebody that people value over JSN in 12 months' time,
Yeah, I really like Addison, and he got like the dream landing spot. Obviously, our teammates at the Wildcard Dynasty show, that was literally the dream landing spot they picked for him over at the Vikings. And yeah, with Justin Jefferson, that guy commands your respect. You gotta double team him. Even with people are forgetting, they've got like TJ Hawkinson there as well, who is no slouch when it comes to the receiving game. You got to keep an eye on him. Jordan Addison's going to see single coverage. And what he did best in college was just getting open against single coverage. So I think he's going to, do really, really well. Pretty much right off the bat. Because he's got no real competition for that slot as well. So I think getting a guy like Addison who's going to be like consistent wide receiver 2 probably, right? for most of his career. He might even sneak up into, like we've seen Devontae Smith do, like sneak up into wide receiver 1 territory. But getting a consistent wide receiver 2 at pick 7, that's really good value. So I like Addison there a lot. Who's next to him at 1-8?
So I am going to go with Quentin Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Similar reasons. I really like the landing spot here. I really like him at the Chargers, and I think he's going to be the same as sort of what Mike Williams was. I think he's going to step into that role more than anything. I think, he's gonna see plenty of targets. I think Mike Williams is on a downward spiral. I think Keenan Allen's still up there, but I think within 12 months, this guy could genuinely be the wide receiver 1 in this team. And I think if he can learn to connect with Justin Herbert, I think the sky's the limit for Quentin Johnson, to be honest, mate.
Justin Herbert was like the perfect quarterback for him, I think, as well. Like, he just slots in really nicely into that team. I've said it many times, I'm not that high on Quentin Johnson, but I love Justin Herbert. I have doubts about Quentin Johnson's hands, but if Justin Herbert is throwing him passes, they become a lot easier to catch. So that kind of thing does play in my mind as well. A guy that I thought I wouldn't end up with any shares of, I gotta get at least one, I think, of Quentin Johnson, right? Just because that link up with Justin Herbert could be really, really special. And he's got the tool set, but he needs to play a bit bigger for his size, and hopefully he gets coached up there at the Chargers and he can do that. So I think he's good value there at 1-8. And you got a couple of picks left in the first round. Who's following up at 1-9?
1-9 is Zay Flowers, mate. Zay Flowers. A lot of people seem to have this hatred for Baltimore Ravens wide receivers, and I don't know why. I know Lamar Jackson isn't the most elite guy at throwing the ball, and the Ravens are obviously a run first team. They always have been, but I think Zay Flowers is. I think that's about right value for him. 109. I think the back end of this wide receiver runner is where I'd like to have him, and he's obviously going to see targets in that team. They're crying out for a well, to be honest, I would say a wide receiver 2, but I think they're crying out for a wide receiver 1. Like, Bateman's never really stepped up and gone, I'm the alpha in this room. And again, Zay Flowers in 12 months' time could be the guy that everyone's talking about as the wide receiver 1 at the Ravens, and Lamar Jackson's got his contract, and Zay Flowers is going to be there for the next 4 years at least. And if they can sort of work it out and get things going together, he's somebody that you're going to want for the next 4 years.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think he's coming into a nice situation where, like, he'll have already their Bateman, who is being that offense and has done well when he's been healthy. Odell Beckham Jr. coming in as well. Will he be healthy enough for the start of the season? Who knows? Yeah, but I think there's enough there that people, even though he was a receiver drafted in the first round, I think actually more eyes are going to be on Odell Beckham Jr. just in terms of how well the Ravens develop as a passing team. That Zay Flowers is kind of going to get like a pass for this year, I think, for how well he does and be allowed to ease into this new offense. And do you believe what we're hearing? They've got a new offensive coordinator. Do you think the Ravens are going to mix it up? They're going to stop running the ball so much. They're going to let Lamar pass it a little more. Do you see that, or is it going to be same old, same old?
No, I think they will pass it more. I think because Lamar Jackson's been asking, hasn't he? He's the one that's been asking about this. And, I think if the Ravens head coach was saying, oh, we're going to pass it more, and nobody was asking it, it could be a bit of smoke and, what do they say? Oh, what's the saying?
Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, smoke and mirrors. That's the one. I was going to say smoke on the water, but that's a song, isn't it? But yeah, so head coaches are really good at trying to bluff this time of year and talk absolute crap and say, "Oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do this." So I do think they are going to pass it more, and let's be honest, they have got players there that can catch the ball. They've got Mark Andrews. They've brought in Zay Flowers. They've got Rashad Bateman. They've got Odell Beckham and stuff like this. I think you're right in what you're saying. I do think Odell Beckham is going to take the limelight away from everyone, and everyone's going to be like, "Oh, it's Odell. Is he going to be? Is he going to do a one-handed catch on the sideline? Is he going to be the Odell Beckham that we know and love? He's an absolutely incredible wide receiver." And I think that's a really good thing for Zay Flowers, to be honest. I think, I'm not saying Odell is going to be the best mentor, but to play alongside somebody as good as Odell, it could be a massive boost for him. Like, his first year playing alongside somebody like that could be a good thing for him. It could help him out a lot, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So he's locked in at 1-9. You got 3 picks left of the first round. Where are you going with pick 110, Paul?
So I'm going to go for Devon A-Chain.
Yes.
I think he could be a bit of a a dark horse in this one. I think he's gone to the right landing spot. He's gone to a Shanahan style offense, and I think if they utilize him to his best ability, he could be somebody that I may plant my flag on. It's I do like AJ, to be fair, and I got a couple of shares of him in rookie drafts, so I am on board with him this year, to be fair.
Talk about your outside bets for offensive rookie of the year, by the way. How outside is Devon A-Chain? Because if he hits, that's a lot of fun. That's a lot of good times to watch, but I bet he's got seriously long odds as well, right?
Yeah, I bet they're mega, to be fair, because of the two players, the 2 running backs that have already been before him, and you've got 3 potentially starting QBs. I know they haven't actually announced Anthony Richardson as their starter week 1, but you can see odds are Bryce Young and CJ Stroud are starters. So when you look at AJ and you sort of think of the players that have got to miss and he's got to hit, but yeah, I like it. I like that as a outside.
Way outside, but man, if he's probably like insanely odds. Like, put a quid on it, see what happens. I think he's going to be so much fun to watch in this offense. I think it's the perfect landing spot. It's kind of like 2 wishes rolled into one, because everyone was wondering who's going to hit that jackpot of getting the Miami Dolphins, and everyone was also going, man, Devon A-Chain needs a good landing spot, and you put the 2 of them together, and it's like, oh, here we go. I cannot wait.
It's like rubbing the genie lamp, and you go, "What's your first wish?" I want to wish for more wishes. And that's what you got. You know what I mean? You got 2 wishes in one there, and it was like, you've done one over on the genie there. Like, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And for all the slack that this draft class has got for like landing spots ruining players, we've got 3, 4, maybe even more landing spots in this first round alone that are absolutely perfect. Bijan, perfect landing spot. Anthony Richardson, perfect landing spot. Yeah. I think for Jordan Addison, it's a perfect landing spot. Devon A-Chain, perfect landing spot. Quentin Johnson, perfect landing spot. A lot of these places I've kind of made up, I think, for your Zach Charbonnet and things like that later.
The next pick is a perfect landing spot as well.
Oh, let's see who it is then. Who's coming in right next with this perfect landing spot?
Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, he is. Love it. Love it. So tell me about Dalton Kincaid then. What do you like about him?
Do you know what? I probably shouldn't have gone so high, because you don't do the tight end premium and stuff like that. But for me, he's somebody that you could see getting into that top 5 tight end sort of, what's the word? I wouldn't even say it's a debate. It's he could break that top five into that top five, and he could be. I'm not going to say he's going to be the next Travis Kelce or anything like that, but he could be phenomenal. And when obviously a lot of people look at landing spots and they look at draft capital and stuff like that. The Bills traded up to go and get him. They've seen their guy. They've looked at the teams and gone, they're going to take him. They're going to take him. We want our guy. We're going to go and get our guy. And that is bigger than anything for me. It didn't matter about landing spot or anything like that. They know who they want, and they've gone up and they've gone to get him, and they've gone, we want him. And let's be honest, Josh Allen hasn't got the best receiving core in front of him.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs. I love Stephon Diggs. I've made 2 trades over the last couple of days for him. One with you, Mags, yeah. And I love Stephon Diggs, but I think Kincaid can actually step in as that number 2 receiver in this team, and that to me is incredible. Look at Dawson Knox. It wasn't last year, it was the year before. He had an incredible season, and everyone was like, Dawson Knox is incredible. So we've seen that he can feed a tight end. He can give the ball to that tight end. He can do that. And now they've gone up and got their guy. And I'm like, Dalton Kincaid is a smash for me. He's a smash. I was actually talking to you about one of the wildcard leagues that we're in, and I tried the Diggs trade. I got your 108, wasn't it? And so I got that, and I wanted to trade back from the 108 because I think it's a bit early for Kincaid at 108. But I kind of feel, I was telling you this before, that the Dynasty community now know that this area nobody wants to trade up from the 112 to the 108. They don't want to do it. There's very little people wanted to do it. There's very little value. People are so confused. So I think we're seeing a lot less trading up for players, and I see it in a lot of leagues. People are getting to this stage, sort of the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, that sort of area. And literally the first thing they do, as soon as they say in a draft, they go, and you're on the clock, the first thing they do is they tag everyone in it and go, I'm looking to move back. Anyone want to come up and get a guy? And they're like, I'll give it an hour. An hour later, they're making the pick. And they go, that's because I don't think anyone wants to move up. Nobody wants to pay a massive amount to move up 4 spaces. They'd rather sit there at the sort of 11 and get somebody like Kincaid. I know in tight end premium, it's a little bit different. You probably would look at him maybe the 8, 9 mark. There's a conversation for it, but I think Kincaid at 11 is. I'd rather not move from 11 to 8.
Yeah.
For Quinton Johnson, I'd rather take Kincaid at 11 and have my draft capital for later on.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you there. And just take these guys whenever you can. Some of these tight ends, like there are tight ends that are like just their roster fillers. There's not a lot of them that can be like your smash hit, huge difference makers. The difference between Travis Kelce and whoever the hell finished second last year was the same amount of points that Christian Kirk scored last year. That was the difference between 1 and 2. And Christian Kirk was a wide receiver 1. Like, it is mad. If you can get one of these difference makers at tight end in your team, you're laughing. It's like having an extra Christian Kirk playing for you every week.
Yeah, and I remember it wasn't that long ago where we were discussing that Travis Kelce would have finished as wide receiver 3 on the season. Mark Andrews would have finished as like wide receiver 6 or something like that, But once you go past them 2, I think you've still got a group of really, really phenomenal tight ends. There, you're talking your Kyle Pitts, you're talking your George Kittles and stuff like that. And I know there's a lot of talk on Twitter on whether George Kittle can actually be that guy and stuff like that. And last year a bit of a out there sort of season for him, but I think if you can if you can get Kincaid at this point, I think he could be a difference maker. And, you may have a Travis Kelce, you may have a Mark Andrews or somebody like that on your team. But to me, he's one of the best players he is the best tight end in this draft, but he is also one of the best players. And he is going to be, we're getting to the point now where a lot of the players coming up now are we're probably talking flex plays, that sort of thing. Kincaid for me is somebody that could be in your starting position week in, week out, And to me, that's at this point, that is the best player available on this draft for that and for your team. Even if you've got Travis Kelce, take him.
Yeah.
And if he hits, that's when you're looking to go, you want him, come and get him.
Yeah. And the best thing about that, having a Kelce or an Andrews, if you take Kincaid, guess who doesn't have Kincaid? Everybody else. You still got the difference maker in your team, and nobody else has got an extra difference maker. So I think that's a really nice pick at 111. And who's going to wrap up the first round then, right after Dalton Kincaid?
This one's really easy. It is super flex, so it is Will Levis. So I think he's not the standout QB in this draft and everything like that. I know there was a lot of talk that he was going to get that first round draft capital. He didn't get that. I think he's got a really good landing spot. I don't think he's going to play for 12 months. I think Ryan Tannehill will maintain that job. I know good friend Tom Strachan was putting out there saying about how he thinks Will Levis will be in at week 8. Is it week 8? Because the Titans have got an absolutely insane schedule to start with. And, if you look at it, you could honestly see them losing a lot of them games. And I think it's an absolutely amazing call that he could be in by week 8. But I think you've got a future starting QB there. You have got a future starting QB. And in Superflex, that is king. QBs are king in Superflex, aren't they? If you hold all the QBs and all the cards, you're the man with all the power. And that's what you want,
Yeah, absolutely. And you got a 50-50 chance. Like, doesn't matter. Like, these quarterbacks, you don't know until you see them play. Like, they can surprise you, like who's going to hit, who isn't going to hit. Even after you see them play, it's like, oh, like these guys come on really, really far, and some people fall off a cliff. Like, it's so hard to tell. So I think it's definitely worth taking a gamble. If you've got 112 and you won the league last year, if you can add an extra quarterback to your team, amazing. Like, that's great for your future.
You could be sat there in 12 months' time with 6 starting QBs. Yeah. And the people at 101, 102, maybe even not so much them, because you probably wouldn't be able to trade for them picks because the QB classes, but somebody at the 105 may be really short of a QB. If you were 105 now and you really needed a QB and them QBs went 1, 2, and 3, 2, 3, and 4, you then going, shit, I really need a QB. Anyone's selling a veteran QB. Now you're sat here going, oh, I've got 6 of the starters. Which one do you want? I'll take him for a first round pick. Then you flipped it, and now all of a sudden you've got a team that can compete, and you've got an extra first round pick the year after to maintain that dominance. And you know what I mean? That's what you need.
Yeah, absolutely. Flip these guys for a profit, and that's the end of round 1. We're going to go through round number 2 as well. So who's going to kick off round 2 for you?
Round 2 is going to be started with the guy at the top there, Zach Charbonnet. I do like Zach Charbonnet. I wasn't a big fan of the landing spot. And I know the Seahawks they do like to run the ball and everything like that. But I like Kenneth Walker, and I thought he really stood out last year. But I still think he will see some kind of workload. I don't think it'll be enough that he's a week in, week out flex player or running back player. I don't think that's where I see him, but I do see him eventually carving out a role in this offense.
Yeah, I think he'll have a pretty decent role. I think he's someone on a bye week you can stick out in your flex and be like pretty happy about it. He'll probably catch a few more passes than Kenneth Walker will. And they both have the same draft capital. They're both second-round running backs. Walker was just that last year. Charbonnet this year. You never know who's going to win out.
I think I'd be quite happy to take him in best ball leagues. I think in a best ball league, I think he will have them weeks where it's a Zach Charbonnet kind of week, and in best ball, he's a player that I'd quite happily smash. To be honest, mate, I'd quite happily smash that Seahawks stack. To be honest,
yeah,
I think that's one that you can maybe you don't have to get your players in round 1, round 2, but I think you can definitely put together a Seahawks stack. To be fair,
yeah, absolutely. Leading the Seahawks run game for sure. So who's following up Zach Charbonnet at the second pick of the second round?
Did I just see him there? No, keep scrolling down. You're gonna like this one, I think.
Ooh,
there he is, Rashee Rice.
Yes, talk to me about Rashee Rice.
Now, so I may be falling into this trap, and I probably do it every year. I got burnt by Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Sky Moore.
I did it with Sky Moore, and I'm probably doing the same again. But I'm really sorry. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to say it. I want the wide receiver that is attached to the best passer in the NFL.
Yeah.
You know, he never, his standout guy is Travis Kelce, and you won't ever change that. But he spreads the ball to everyone. Everyone gets to go. You have a ball, you have a ball, you have a ball. And mate, I did say a lot of these players are not going to be week in, week out players. Then, you may find one, maybe two that you could probably start each week. But, we're looking for players that maybe hit. And I want the guy that's on one of the best and probably highest scoring offenses in the NFL.
Yeah.
Give me Rice. Give me Rice.
Rashee Rice for me, if he comes in and looks good in week 1, he's a guy that you can sell almost for a 24 first round immediately. Because the second he looks good in that team, it never really happened for Sky Moore. Sky Moore scored his first touchdown in the Super Bowl. So he never really had that moment. If Rashee Rice comes in week 1 and looks good and looks strong, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be taking the profit for him as well, because I think you can get 24 first for him right away. Because you're right, unless he's called Travis Kelce, you're not seeing double-digit targets a game. You're just not, because that's who he goes to. That's his guy. And sure, you might say, oh, but whenever Kelce retires, you never know. Look at that Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver core just 2-3 years ago. It's a different team. So when Kelce retires, it's going to be a different team again. So don't bank on that. Plus, Travis Kelce's going to play to his 50. He's never going to retire.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are you talking about? Travis Kelce's never going to retire, mate.
Never.
No, it's never going to retire. And I remember a few years ago, people were actually, so when Pitts came into the league, people were valuing Pitts over Kelce because they were like, oh, he's getting on a bit now and stuff like this. And mate, 2 years down the line, we're now putting Kelce above Pitts, going, he's just going to go forever. It's he's the Tom Brady of the tight end position. He's going to be 44 and still catching passes from Kelce, from Mahomes.
Look how good Gronk looked whenever he came back. He looked awesome. That guy's so old.
Yeah, but his body was so broken, he needed a year off to just heal,
So yeah, Rashee Rice is nice value there, and he could also be a nice trade candidate as well, I think, if he hits early on. So who's following Rashee Rice then at pick 2-3?
That would be Jonathan Mingo.
Talk to me about Jonathan Mingo.
I think the Panthers were screaming out for a wide receiver now that they traded DJ Moore away. I think they've got a gap to fill. I know they've brought in Adam Thielen, but he's not going to step up as that alpha wide receiver in this team. He will catch passes, and he will definitely be an asset there for 12 months. But I think Mingo is somebody who could carve out a really, really, really solid role in this team. And again, talking about stacks, if you could pick Bryce Young at 103 and Mingo at 203, then you've got a nice little pair to put together there.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And he's got an opportunity, and that is huge in the NFL. All these guys are good players. All these guys are super talented. They need a chance just a lot of the time. And Mingo's got as good a chance as anybody else in this draft class. So let's see what he can do. He's been given, the opportunity on the silver platter. So, go for it, man. Why not take him there, especially in the second round? Just get a guy that's going to get a chance in Mingo. So he's locked in. And who's following up in the second round then?
Jaden Reed.
Same thing, right?
Wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. Similar thing. I think they've taken a couple of wide receiver rookies the last couple of years. Christian Watson. He's a guy I do like. Christian Watson. But again, there is no dominant alpha in this team. There's nobody's carved out that one role or anything like that. It's anyone's guess at the moment. And I think Jaden Reed's got the ability to step up and, I suppose any one of them, Watson or Romeo Dubs, they've all got that chance. But, again, everything now is an educated guess, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're sitting here and people will feel that other players should have gone before these. And it's like, it's an opinion now, isn't it? And in my opinion, I want somebody who could go out and in 12 months' time, you could be flipping for a first. If you can get a 204 here and he carves out a role and somebody goes, oh, I really like him. And you're like, well, there you go. Have him for your 24 first. You're flipping that 24 first into something and a better asset, So it's definitely somebody that I do like here, Jaden Reed, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. You're spot on as well. Like nobody really knows what's going to happen with these guys, especially as we creep towards the back end of the second round. So, same with Mingo. This guy's got a chance. Jordan Love, I don't know why. I feel kind of good about Jordan Love next year. I might be crazy. I don't know. I just have a feeling. I think he's going to be okay, actually. Not great, but I think I don't know. I think he's going to be okay. Am I crazy for that?
No, you're not crazy. I think part of what he's going to do this year is he's going to stick his middle finger up and go, you've left me sit there for so long. This is what you had.
Yeah.
And, as a bit of a look, like a bit like bullseye, look at what you could have won. You've been playing that, that grumpy prick over there the last 3 years he's been on the bench now. And I think he's going to go and go, look, you could have got rid of him years ago and saved yourself a lot of money.
Almost exactly like what Aaron Rodgers did to Favre, right?
That'd
be pretty cool. I would like that.
As long as when they beat the Bears, he walks up to them going, I own you.
Oh no!
Otherwise, his season hasn't been a success.
When they beat the Jets, even better. Beat the Jets, go up to Rodgers. I own you. That'll be, that needs to happen. So hopefully he'll connect with Jalen Reed for that to happen. And who's going to follow him up then? We're at pick 5 of the second round. Who's going to be?
So if it was tight end premium, I'd probably make a discussion for Michael Mayer, but it's not tight end premium, so I'm not going to bring him in, but I am going to bring in somebody who I suppose he's going to have a role if one of the players is trading away, and that's Mims at the Denver Broncos, Marvin Mims. I do think he needs, with Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy there, I think this
sucks.
He's
so bad. I've never got it.
Oh, okay. Well, I quite like Cortland Sutton, and I suppose that's probably why I'm always at the 101, but I do think there's a lot of mouths to feed there. There is, so I think he will do better if one of them guys are traded.
Yeah,
and I think Russell Wilson is going to be a lot better this year. I think everything is going to be arrows up for him. I'm not saying he's going to be the elite Russell Wilson that we knew years ago, but I do think with Sean Payton, I think he's going to be better this year. I think the ball's going to be spread a bit more, and I think as long as I think it'll be Cortland Sutton that goes. I think it'll be Cortland Sutton that goes, and I think Mims will step in as that wide receiver 2 behind Judy. Then
there's a certain weight to being the first guy that Sean Payton drafts, right? Something there. They were delighted when they got him in. They're obviously going to use him. Yeah, I'm excited for Mims. He was kind of a well-kept secret for a while, and then everyone found out about him. So I'm still excited about Mims. People are kind of dying down a little bit on him. I think he's great value here, just around this kind of, like, you see him go usually like around the kind of this 2-2 to 2, like 5-2-6 kind of area. I think that is great value for Marvin Mims. So who's going to follow him up then, Paul, at pick 2-6?
So I think this is where the value comes back.
Yeah.
I think now we get into that territory of, I think you're smashing running backs for a while. And I think the standout running back on that list for me is Tank Bigsby at the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think he'll be a good asset to play alongside ETN this year. And I suppose with every running back now, even from Charbonnet, I think they're all your guys that you're going to draft. And if there's an injury, I think they're a guy that you're putting straight on the market then. And, Tank Bigsby is going to be one of them. If ETN goes down, I think I'd be straight to the ETN owner going, here's Tank Bigsby. He's gonna step into that role. He's obviously going to carve out his own role. He's not predominantly sitting on that bench waiting for an injury, I think. But if all of these guys now, if they get an injury, they're an injury away from being a week in, week out plug and play kind of guy,
Yeah, I think that the Jaguars would be foolish to use ETN as a workhorse running back as well, because I just don't think he has the physicality for it. So bringing in Bigsby to get that slice of the workload, he should be able to carve out a nice role for himself. And again, bye week kind of guy, you can slot him in. And then if there is an injury, awesome for everyone. And he's a good player as well. Like he is. He's a good player. Yeah, so that's, you want good players in your team more than anything else. So you got a really good player there at 2-6. So are you staying with running back at 2-7 then?
Yes, I think I am, to be fair. Mm-hmm. Yes, I am. He's Tajay Spears.
Yeah,
like Tajay Spears there. Again, I think the King is either on his way out or on his way to calling it a day. We've been saying this since I started playing fantasy football. He's gonna, in 1 year he's gonna slow down. He's gonna slow down. I don't know his actual age. Is he 30 or 31? Something like that.
Ageless.
But yeah, I'm sorry. I'm frantically trying to find out how old he is. He's 29. Oh, he's got years. Take that pick off. He's got years left in the tank. What are we on about? But no, I think he's going to start slowing down now. I know he's fit and he's healthy and he works out. I love his workouts. To be fair, they're a bit mental. But I do think that the Titans are in a rebuild, or they have maybe not admitted that they're in a rebuild yet, but they're getting to that point where they're in a rebuild, and I think he's the first asset that's out the door. I actually thought if the Falcons didn't get Bijan, I thought Arthur Smith would have been in touch with the Titans and gone, well, what we talking? I want my guy Henry to come over here, sort of thing, like, and maybe went out and got him, but they drafted Bijan.
Can you imagine if they did that anyway? The pandemonium.
Oh, mate.
If they drafted Bijan and also traded Derrick Henry.
Oh, it'd implode. Mate, you'd be seeing Bijan go like pick 106 or something. You know what I mean? Everybody be like, "I'm out on him! I'm out on him!" They've traded for Derrick Henry. Oh god!
I'm convinced Bijan can play wide receiver anyway. He'd be fine. That guy's awesome. It's just But yeah, Tajay Spears, the man with no ACL, so can't get injured there. So that's great to hear for him. So we got Tajay Spears locked in. Prince Tajay. I mean, I'm calling him Prince Tajay. Do you like that?
Yeah, I remember you saying that on your show. I was like, oh, I'm gonna drop that in when I pick him, but I completely forgot.
Yeah, Prince Tajay. He's locked in. So who's following the Prince?
So who's following Prince is Kendre Miller.
Yep, absolutely.
There's a lot of talk of Kamara potentially missing 6 games. He's somebody that's going to be stepping in. He could be stepping into that role for them 6 games that he's not there. I'm not sure what's left on Kamara's deal. I've got a feeling that he may be a free agent next year.
Seems about right, doesn't it?
Don't quote me, but I believe I've seen somewhere or something in my head is telling me that it's next year. So I think Miller in them 6 games, if he does get some kind of ban, I think in them 6-game ban, he's got an audition.
Yeah,
and you know what I mean. And I think if he can prove himself in them 6 games, I think that'd be somebody that they'd be maybe looking to move forward with. So I like Kendre Miller here, and that's the end of our running back run, to be honest.
Ooh, so that's the end of our running backs. We got 4 picks left. Is it time now without tight end premium? Are you thinking is it Michael Mayer time? Is it not?
No. So there's two players that I do like, and I'm going to go with Josh Downs.
Yep.
Josh Downs, the wide receiver at the Colts. I think he could be somebody that is utilized a lot this year. He could be. He could have quite a good role in it, and if he can get that connection with Anthony Richardson, they're both rookies coming in together. You know, I think it'll be an interesting little combo to see build. You know.
Yeah, I think Josh Downs is a really nice compliment, like for Michael Pittman Jr. as well. People sleeping on Michael Pittman Jr. is so good. People sleeping on Michael Pittman Jr. I'm sure of it. But yeah, I think Josh Downs is a really nice compliment to him. And then you're right, could pair up nicely with their new quarterback who they might not trust to unleash the ball right away. And if they don't trust him to unleash the ball, who's going to be there? Josh Downs is going to be there right over the middle, nice and simple. So he could eat up some targets in the first couple of weeks for sure. So you got 3 picks left. Who's going to be your third last pick in the second round?
The other guy that I really like right here is Tank Dell.
Yes, same idea, right?
The Houston wide receiver again, like we were talking about with Mims and not Mims, Reed and who was the other one we were talking about? His name's gone from me. We were talking about Reed and saying that
not Reed and
Mingo. So Tank Dell sort of similar sort of theory here and strategy that, you know, with Cook's gone now, isn't he? So there is, I know,
Bobby Trees is in.
What's his name?
Robert Woods.
Yeah, Robert Woods. Who's the other one? He's still young. Nico Collins.
Yeah. And John Mechie is back.
John Mechie's back. But I think again, there's no. You know, I don't think any of them have got a set role. You're not going to look at these and go, oh, he's 1, he's 2, he's 3, he's 4.
Yeah.
I think they've all got a role to play for here. And you know, they're obviously going to battle it out in camp. And when, you know, you will see who the standout players are when you get to like week 1 and week 2 and stuff like that. But I think Tank Dell has got every opportunity to have a role here. And at the back of the second, I'm quite happy to take that risk.
Absolutely, yeah. He's so talented. Like, he's one of the more talented receivers in this draft class. It's just a shame how small he is. He's just going to have to be, but he has his whole career. He's just going to have to be careful about what he does when he gets the ball in his hands, because like he just can't get hit by these guys. He cannot get smashed by some of these players he's playing up against. So he's going to have to be very careful. But he knows that already. He's not stupid. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Tank can do at the Texans. And you got 2 picks left. Who's rocking up at pick 211?
So he's actually on the board there, and I'm going to go with Jalen Hyatt at the Giants.
Yes.
I know. There's a lot of wide receivers at the Giants. They're that are average.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I kind of have a little bit of a soft spot for Hyatt, to be honest. And I'm quite excited to see what he does. And do you know what? I don't want to sit here and say about every player and they can all carve a role and everything like this, because they can and they may not. They may hit, they may not. But Jalen Hyatt for me, he could quite easily carve himself a nice little role in that team, and sort of, like you said, in bye weeks, he may be somebody that you can put in a flex spot and he'll score you 8, maybe 9 points, catch a couple of passes for, you're talking 3-4 passes for 60 yards, and you're quite happy with that. Like, you're talking 7-8 points there, aren't you? So he's definitely somebody that I'd quite like on my bench.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is about right for Hyatt. He's been criminally underrated. I got Jalen Hyatt. You ready for this? In the 4th round in one of my rookie drafts.
So I'm not trying to beat you here, but no, this wasn't Jalen Hyatt. So I'm trying to find the league now. We're drafting at the moment. So I got Jaden Reed. Okay. The guy that we took at 204, I got him at 304.
Nice. A full round is so, like, whenever you're deliberate, that's one of the best feelings in fantasy, right? Usually when it happens in a startup, if it's a rookie draft, it's slammed up, where you're like torn between 2 players, and then the guy you didn't pick comes back to you anyway. It's just like, yes.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's so nice.
It is. It's what we like to call euphoria.
Absolutely euphoric. And I'm sure your last pick is going to be a really euphoric one. So tell us, who's it going to be?
I doubt it very much. But at this point, I would again sort of be in that range of Michael Mayer. I think he's an outstanding tight end. He really is. I think before the draft, a lot of people said he was the best tight end in this class. And then obviously draft capital played its part and stuff like that. And he's now the second. But yeah, I think the back end of the second, if you could get somebody like Michael Mayer, who could for a couple of years be a good tight end, and he gets to play in Tom Brady's Las Vegas Raiders, so
yeah, absolutely.
I have seen that today, haven't I? Tom Brady has bought into the Raiders, hasn't he?
Is that officially been done? I'm not sure.
I don't know if it's official. I've seen something about he's apparently buying into the Raiders, so he could be the starting quarterback there next year. We don't know.
Jimmy Garoppolo must hate that guy. He's like, I can't get, like, I was drafted in to be
away from this guy.
Imagine that. Yeah, like Garoppolo drafted in to be Brady's replacement, and Brady replaces Garoppolo.
He has to sit behind him at the Patriots. Then he goes to the 49ers. And then they look like they're going to start Jimmy. And then there's talk that Brady's going to come to the 49ers. Then he doesn't. Then they draft Trey Lance. Then he goes to the Raiders. Like, I finally got my starting role. And then Tom Brady buys the team just to go, no.
He's got to be so sad when he goes home to his supermodel wife and cries into his $1 million blanket. Like, he's got to be absolutely
got his $100 bill mattress,
Yeah, just like wiping the tears. Yeah, poor Jimmy. Yeah, crying.
I'm just going to go for a swim in the pool.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got Michael Mayer there, who's going to be there to witness the demise of Jimmy Garoppolo over at the Raiders. And Paul, that brings us to the end of our 2 rounds. But before we let you go, is there anyone that you're like, this guy's a good person to keep your eye on for the later rounds, like sort of a sleeper pick that stands out to you?
Yeah, so I was looking. There's a couple of there's a name there or 2 names there. I like Kayshon Boutte.
Mm-hmm.
I know he was one of the biggest talked about players coming into this season. Had a bit of problems off field, didn't he, and everything like this. If he can be half of what everyone expects him to be, he could actually be insane value. If you could get him in the third, you probably get him mid-third. A lot of people are sleeping on him. If you could pick him up in the mid-third and he hits, then great. Another one, you might have to help me with the name, is Roshon Johnson or Roshon Johnson.
I guess it's Roshan.
Roshan, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's another person over at the Bears. I don't think the Bears have actually said that Herbert's not going to be a 3-down back, haven't they? And again, it may be smoke and mirrors. It could be anything, but he's somebody I'd like. The other person is Chase Brown, the running back at the Bengals. I really like him. I've got quite a few shares of Chase Brown this year, and he's somebody that I do like the look of.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that brings us to the end of our show. I want to thank everybody for listening so much. Hey, if you made it this far, hey, come on, what are we doing here? Hit that like and that subscribe button for sure. And thanks for listening. And Paul, mate, thank you so much for coming onto the show. Do you want to remind everyone where they can find you before you head off?
At Paul_Picken on Twitter. I'm getting a lot of beef at the moment, or a lot of stick on Twitter, because I put my Dynasty QB rankings out, and people are like, I'm criminally low on Trevor Lawrence and stupidly high on Dak Prescott. But hey, you get some right, you get some wrong, don't you? We could be sat here in 12 months' time, and Dak Prescott's QB6 and Trevor Lawrence is QB12, and they go, fucking hell, that kid knew what he was talking about. Or I know absolutely nothing and I've got it completely wrong. But yeah, come find me on Twitter. I'm happy to chat. I'm all up for a bit of banter. I'm always up for a laugh. And if not, tune in every Monday and catch me and Mags on the at Wildcard Rewind show, where we are joined by the lovely Hannah, and we have a great time.
We do have a great time, just like we did on this show today. So thanks again, mate, and thank you everybody else for listening. Remember, for anything Dynasty you want to know, keep it locked on the Certified Inferno, and we'll see you next time.